Hello, Professor. I'm here at Hill Country Natural Area, and here I see a little ephemeral stream. This one's more aggressive than the other ones I've seen around here before. Very clear cuts into the land. Okay, further up the trail, and here's a little nick point. It digs in there because the water goes through and cuts stuff back. Here's a bunch of alluvium, and it's been deposited coming up from there, and falling down here slowly. And it gets really itty bitty over time. And here's some horses coming down the way. Here's a little bit of carbonized rock here. It's got little holes in it from where, there's another one, from where the rainwater and limestone react together. Here's a better example of the chemical weathering, the carbonization. Lots of holes in it. Here's a good indication of lots of weathering happening here. They've even set up some rocks down at the bottom to keep stuff from continuing to slide down there. A bunch of rocks down at the very bottom there. Here's another small little nick point you can see up underneath. It's gonna get taken away slowly, and that rock's clearly fallen off recently. I don't know how much this counts, but I really like all the layers in this. Clearly being worn down over time. Here's a good example of biological weathering. This little tuft of grass or whatever has splintered this rock, which is pretty cool since it looks so delicate. This is pretty weird. It looks like something out of a like a dirt road or something, but there's nothing around it that looks like it. Don't think anyone brought it up here though. So here's some more of that chemical weathering. It even has a little bit biological with that moss in there. This one looks really neat. Apparently it had a much softer rock in there, but it looks really circular to be natural. Here's quite a bit of clearly in a stream here. If you can see down in there, it goes pretty deep where waters run through over time. Here's where a big tree has fallen from probably water getting into its dirt and just kind of slowly over time pushing it over until it fell, because its roots look still intact, so it just kind of fell over eventually and down into the gully. Here's another angle of all that brush that's fallen, probably from our last big rain, it maybe looks like. I know it's not technically natural since it's the trail where people walk, but this definitely floods a lot when it rains, especially a big rainstorm. I also think it's cool that all these big rocks here, just you can see them getting smaller and smaller from people walking over it and horses walking over it. Here's some more of those cool layers, and if we look up under there and here, looks like that recently fell from there. Some of these rocks look even as smooth as river rock. I mean, some of them aren't, but I guess they'll eventually get there after it tumbles down more and more. Here's an example of what was most likely started as chemical weathering and then became mechanical weathering over time. I'm assuming it started out as a small little hole. As more stuff fell into it and things walked across it, the hole got bigger and more stuff fell into it. On either side of the trail, this big ephemeral stream here, kind of gully almost, keeps getting bigger and bigger the further I go up. Here's the other side of it. It's much shallower and wider on this end. Here's another good example of that carbonation. Really good hole in this rock here. And then pretty much all throughout here, looks like it's also started to rain, so some of it's even wet, but it looks like it's being oxidized over time. Whereas like this here, it's much more, orangey. Here's where another tree fell, probably from strong wind, down into that deep little gorge there. It's really deep there. You can also see along that side over there is where most of the water would cut into, because it's very, I don't know if you can see that, very cut in right there. There's a bunch of what looks like moss on this rock here. You can see it slowly eating away at it. I think it's crazy how deep this cut is here. I don't think you can really tell by how the camera is, but it starts way up here and goes all the way down into there. And we don't get that much rain here, so that just takes so long to get such a deep cut. Here's a really big rock. I'm not really quite sure where it fell from, but it's definitely out of place among all these way smaller rocks. It must have come from quite a ways up there. Since it's been raining a little bit, we can see actually how the water drips down into it. There's a little bit of moss in there, some grass. There's lots of little ridges and stuff where the water's gone in down into it. This one's pretty cool. A lot of rocks like this, I have no idea how even came down from up there. They almost don't look like they belong. I mean, clearly this one's been here a while, but I mean, it had to fall somewhere from up there. Here's where more rock and debris have fallen from further up the way, somehow. From rain, I'm guessing. Here's a really nice flat rock. It looks like probably that one went right along in here. Maybe somebody grabbed it from somewhere and flipped it over, maybe, I don't know, but here's kind of a cool little area. I mean, clearly something's using this to get down. I assume, since it's so straight, I would guess a deer or something, but it could also be a little waterway. There's some more good cracks in the rocks. More water's gotten in over time. It's even breaking off here. There's some of that mule poop from earlier. Here's a very small little nick point. Very, very small. Really, the stuff's falling down beneath, though. I'm not quite sure if this is more of a desire path for the people who are on horses, or if it's actually a little ephemeral stream here. Here's a bunch of that alluvium falling down from up there. These little bits make much more sense to me than the big rocks that I've been seeing. This rock has a whole bunch of holes. Looks very almost cut though, which is odd. It's another really flat rock. There's some more of that chemical weathering. Lots of holes in these. Clearly a lot of rain over time. It looks probably like started off like that. Been trying to find some more of the biological weathering, and I don't know if you can see it back there, but there's clearly a rock up underneath all this old cedar tree leaves here, so I'm guessing that tree started out underneath all of those rocks there and slowly pushed its way up through. Here's a really good shot of the valley there. A lot of, I think that's a ranch over there, and right there is where the park ranger lives. It's huge. Okay, here's some more of that alluvium that's been falling down below. Use Zoom out. You don't care, but here's a small little rock pile someone's made. Oh, cool. Here's a big one of those stalks from this plant here. So it'll probably die soon and fall off. I think it's interesting how little cactus I'm finding up in here, and also how few of these oak trees I'm seeing. It's mainly just the cedar. This rock makes more sense where it fell from. It looks like it fell from right about here and just kind of landed there. That makes much more sense than the ones across the way. Here's another shot of the valley here. And then right across from that is some more of that, those holes being drilled into the rocks from rain. I think it's kind of odd, especially with these like bigger holes in the rocks. You don't see more little spiders. I think there's a small little nest in this one. You'd think little bugs would really like the holes and try to keep safe. And lots of big rocks being broken down slowly. I assume it was about that size previously. They just all have big cracks in them. Right up in here you can very clearly see where water's come through. You can see these little divots where sediment's been deposited over time with the that one's actually probably the most recent rain. Here's what looks like to be more of a desire path, but would definitely help with water flow coming through here. Goes over, water seems to flow that way. Very clearly the little divotsy here, and it seems to flow back also down into there. There's a crow or something around here. I don't know if you can hear it or not.